Today's True Crime, the latest updates on the abduction, escape, and rescue of Jayme Closs and the capture of her parents' murderer. The crime that startled the nation is now playing out in court with surprising messages from her captor. Jake Patterson has pled guilty to 2 counts of intentional homicide and 1 count of kidnapping. Will this admission keep Jayme Closs's abductor behind bars for life? We're speaking to the teacher who helped save Jayme. What's she saying now? We're going to start with law and crime host and attorney Jesse Weber. He's here along with crime correspondent Melissa Moore. Thank you for both being here.
Thank you.
This is such fast-breaking news, but I want to get everyone caught up to date. First of all, how did Jake get caught after 88 days of holding Jayme Closs as a hostage?
Well, when he left to run an errand, Jayme was incredibly brave and left the house. And when she left the house that she was being held captive, she ran into a lady walking her dog. This lady brought her into the neighbor's house. They called 911. She was able to identify Jake Patterson's name, and she knew where his house was at. And also that he was driving a red car. So while the neighbors were calling 911, supposedly Jake was out prowling for her. And when I think about how terrifying that must be for Jayme and the neighbors, because we know what he did to her parents, you know.
Can you imagine being Mrs. Kaczynskis, who was a school teacher who took her in, and she's trying to protect her own family as well. And then Mrs. Nutter, who was walking her pet, I guess, and escorted her into the Kaczynskis' house. These are really brave, ordinary citizens who risk their lives and are out there saying, listen, I'll do it again. We're the actual good Americans.
Right.
And when good Americans put their hands up and get counted, we stop evil, which is what happened. That's what we're witnessing with what happened to Jake.
Right.
All right, now, there's a lot of discussion about this. It's a strong tie from the beginning to this crime that Jake had. I look at it and I think there's just no way there's going to be any kind of a real trial. Jesse, did he ever have a chance of going to trial? Was that ever really in the cards?
Well, look, every defendant has a right to a trial, and ultimately it was Patterson's choice, but he never indicated he wanted to fight this. He pled guilty at his arraignment. Defendants rarely admit guilt that early in the legal process, let alone Patterson, who admitted to reporters and investigators about what he did before the arraignment. If this went to trial, it would have been very tough to get an impartial jury in the area because everybody knew about the case.
So Patterson wept in court while entering his guilty pleas. I want you to take a look at this video and also see if you notice him mouthing something at the very end. Reportedly, Patterson said, "Bye, Jayme." That's what he's mouthing. Watch his mouth right here. He's saying, "Bye, Jayme," as he's being carted away. What does this tell you about him? He just murdered this child's parents, and the last things he's going to say in public are, "Bye, Jayme."
Well, it's definitely not a sign of closure at any means. This is his way of saying, I'm still going to be in your life.
So assuming that most of us agree he would hopefully not be able to ever go to her voluntarily anyway.
Yeah, but he could re-victimize her through the media. He can continue to do interviews. He can continue to talk about things that are relevant to him and carry a narrative, you know?
Yeah, I hadn't thought. That's a good point. Even if he can't physically harm her, the harm can, I mean, you've already done a lot of physical harm to her. So what happens to the final sentencing? He's already admitted guilt. You've got 3 pretty clear things he's guilty on. How does the judge add it all together to provide a sentence?
Generally, at sentencing, what happens is the judge will allow both sides to present arguments and then make a decision. What you could see are victim impact statements from friends and family of Jayme Closs and her parents. You might even see Jayme provide a statement in open court, although I think that's probably not going to happen. Now, the defense will probably try to garner some sympathy, create some mitigation. Say, hey, listen, he confessed early on. Maybe they'll bring out some psychiatrists to talk about his mental health. You might even see a statement from Patterson himself. But I want to be very clear about this. This isn't about him trying to get off. This isn't about the insanity defense. What this is an effort to get leniency, an effort by him to eventually be granted parole one day. But if you ask me, the chances of that happening are highly unlikely.
But I've heard from my sources he's not even cooperating with that. That he's already told the media that his attorney isn't allowing him to cooperate with this.
But then you could argue, hey, he gave them an easy day. He didn't take it to trial. He pled guilty. He confessed. He gave them all the details of what he did before, after, and during. He wrapped it up in a nice little bow for them. So, and again, he whether you hate him, I mean, you have to think about this. He spared her an opportunity to have to testify at trial. That's a big thing. Unless she wants to make a statement in open court, she doesn't have to.
Right.
I trust you on this. What do you think is going to happen? Will he spend the rest of his life behind bars?
I think despite any advocacy on the part of his defense attorneys to try to show leniency or that he did the right thing, it's not going to work. This man killed 2 people. He kidnapped a 13-year-old girl. He held her in captivity for 88 days. My guess, the judge is going to make sure that he never steps out of prison for the rest of his life. And if you ask me, good riddance.
What are you doing hearing about Jayme from your contacts? Because she's, at 13, I don't even know how she processes the loss of her parents.
Right, so she's in good hands. Her aunt is also the sister of her deceased mom. And when she was brought home, her grandpa promised her a big steak, which they had, and she was reunited with her dog Molly.
I love granddads.
I know, aren't they great?
As one. Up next, we're going to meet one of the women responsible for getting Jayme Closs back to safety. Her surprising update on the last time she saw Jayme and her eerie connection to the killer. So stay with us. We're back with updates on the Jayme Closs case. Jake Patterson has pled guilty to abducting the 13-year-old girl and murdering her parents. Jayme bravely escaped after 88 days in captivity. She came across Jeannie Nutter walking her dog, who brought her to the home of a local teacher, Kristen Kasinskis, who called 911. Kristen joins us now via Zoom. Kristen, thank you for being with us. What do you think made your neighbor, Jeannie, bring Jayme to your house that day?
We don't know Jeannie very well. We've just recently met her. We've only been in the neighborhood for a few years. But I think she knew us enough to know that we would be there to help her. She also knew that my husband was a hunter and that he would probably have a weapon to protect himself.
So what were you doing when Jeannie and Jayme appeared at your house? What was Jayme like? What was her state of mind?
I think a lot of shock. She was really quiet. She didn't seem scared, but definitely looked like she's been fighting a battle for many days.
So how did you react? This is a big question for me. You have this young woman, her face has been all over the news. She's now in your home, she's safe, but you might not be safe because the person who had killed her parents is still wandering around looking for her.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know that we had time to think about being scared because it was get to the phone, call 911, get somebody here to help us. I think we went into action mode, so we didn't really have time to panic and, get super scared. But there was definitely fear that he was in the neighborhood looking for her.
So what were your first steps after 911? Did you go hide? I mean, I guess when the police came, did they help you? What went down so that you could stay safe until they apprehended Jake?
I stayed on 911 for part of the call, and then I handed the phone to Jeannie, and her and I kind of sat right next to Jayme, keeping her warm, comfortable. After the officers came and took Jayme away, that's when the bigger threat came, because then police radio started alerting that he was in the area looking for her. So we were instructed by police to get into the basement with our kids. And then they asked my husband to guard one door while the officers guard the other.
Oh, so the police asked your husband to get his gun?
Yep. We already had a weapon ready in case he showed up at our house. And so, the officer said, go stand by one of the doors.
So he deputized your husband?
Yeah, I guess so.
And I guess you had to have been fearful for your own life. As you pointed out, this man had murdered people. So your children are at risk, you're at risk, your husband's at risk. What was that like?
Again, it's hard to put into words what we were feeling at the time. It was so intense and crazy that we really didn't have time to think about or feel anything until after. But then I think we really, after, realized what kind of danger we were in. My husband started to realize that he was willing to take somebody's life to protect this girl who we didn't really know until this very moment. It was scary, but we were freaked out.
Have you been in touch with Jayme and her family since she was rescued?
We have met Jayme again since she's been home, but we have pretty regular contact with her family.
How's she doing?
I think she seems like she's doing really well. When we met with her, she was still very quiet and shy, but I think that's her personality.
There was a reward, and you and your husband and Jeannie Nutter, if I can brag on all three of you, did a very noble thing. What did you decide to do? What did you feel was best to do with the money?
Well, we didn't want the money at all, and that was on both us and Jeannie. We didn't want anything to do with the money. We thought Jayme did all the work to get herself out. We just helped her the last little bit to get her officers to help her. So we think she deserves the money. And so that's what we did.
Good for you. Good for you. Now, Kristen, you're from the neighborhood, and I understand you actually have some history with the Patterson family. What do you know about them?
I didn't know much about them after they left school, but I had Jake as a student as well as his siblings. So I had them in their middle school years, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
And what was he like as a student?
Very quiet, not super popular, not very active as a student. I think he was pretty smart. He did pretty well in school. I don't remember much about him after high school or when he went to high school.
I mean, as a school teacher, you try your best to help the kids in your class. Is there anything he ever did that would have ever raised suspicion in your mind they could have committed such a heinous act?
No, not that I can think of.
Makes us wonder, right? Something went wrong. Something broke.
Yeah, what happened from 18 to 21?
Listen, Kristen, thank you for taking time to talk today. You played an important role in making Jayme feel safe and actually saving her and getting her the help that she needed. So you should be very proud. Same goes for your husband and Jeannie. We'll continue to follow this case. Jake Patterson's sentencing is scheduled for May the 24th. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos to live the good life.